we're facing, we often say that it's something where we are all in it together and we all have to pull together. An important part of the process of being in it together and pulling together is helping each other. You know, and I can think of nothing more manifesting the helping of each other than someone donating from their experience of being ill. And this is something that I think is part of the American spirit, and we should be proud of it and we should show it. So it's a very important thing. It's an important part of the entire response to this outbreak. I want to mention that when we do something like give convalescent plasma, it's important to understand, as several of us have mentioned, that it is an important part of the spectrum of interventions and response. We have good therapies and we'll get better therapies for people with advanced disease. We have the dexamethasone for people on ventilators, the remdesivir with people with hospitalized who have lung involvement, and now we're talking about another important part of intervention. It's the intervention early in infection to prevent people from needing to go to the hospital. And that's really what convalescent plasma is, because the mechanism of it is directed against the virus. It's taking the machinery that France has spoken about that the body makes to get a protein to block the virus. And that's exactly what this is all about. Now, it's also important to point out that this could be a proof of concept, because when antibodies work, it tells you a few things. It'll tell you that when you have a vaccine and you induce antibodies, it could work. And this is the good news that's juxtaposed to what happened a couple of days ago when we went into a phase 3 trial for a vaccine. Some of you may have heard me say that I was cautiously optimistic, a word that I use often, that we will be successful with a vaccine. One of the reasons is that in the phase 1 study, the vaccine-induced response that was comparable, if not better, than what we see in convalescent plasma. So here's where the work of vaccine essentially merges with the work we're doing now with convalescent plasma. So that's the reason why we think it's so important and why it's so important for people to donate. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Tony. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for lending your voice to the day's important call to action and really making the two critical points of what we're calling every American to do. Thank you for noting how important it is for every American to give back by wearing a mask, by socially distancing, and from avoiding crowded places where they may not be able to social distance or wear a mask. And we know what we're talking about, parties and bars. Thank you for also really calling to action for those who have recovered to donate life-saving plasma to others. And I think these two pieces together, knitted together to stop the spread of the virus through mass, social distancing, and avoided crowded spaces, either indoors and outdoors, and protecting the vulnerable, and at the same time calling for action to increase our therapeutic abilities to treat more patients. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you for having us today, and thank you for this